Hello and welcome to week 6 of research and data analysis. And now we are going to talk about some qualitative analysis. I do apologize. You will probably hear Stanley playing with toys and his bed. He is being a menace to society today, so he's got to stay in the office with me. So I do apologize about that. So we will be covering chapters 17 and 18. 18 is just 5 pages of reading, so it'll be a little bit shorter. So first, let's start with chapter 17. So this is going to start with the process of analysis. So we have a couple different analyses that we talk about. First, we have an emic view. This is the researcher is going to read and interpret the data from participant point of view in context that the data was collected. So researchers are going to read what the participants had said, but in that specific context. So there's no context clues that are left out. We have analysis, which is the process of labeling and then breaking down that raw data. This helps us find patterns, themes, concepts, propositions that are going to be relevant to our study and that do exist in the data set. We also talk about interpretation, and this is just making sense, giving meaning to our patterns, themes, concepts, propositions that we saw within that data set. Continuing on, we talk about an analytical memo, and this is the process of capturing first impressions and then reflections about the setting, people, and interaction, right? So we want to get your first impression first and foremost, and then we're also getting some sort of reflection later on. We also talk about coding and categorizing data. This is huge within qualitative work. So it is talked about through categories, which are just the labels for sets of excerpts, examples, themes, anything that we think is similar. And on page 336, there are examples of questions to ask when creating those categories. So moving away from the process of analysis, we get into this grounded theory. So grounded theory is an iterative, or the process is being repeated until the researcher believes that all the relevant categories have been identified, and now you're getting redundant categories. So it is an iterative approach for coding that data, and we focus on 3 specific features that we'll get into on the next slide. So first, emergent theory is grounded in the relationships between data and the categories in which they're coded, meaning the theory is going to be a part of those relationships. What this means is the relationships exist because of this emergent theory, because of context and categories that exist in the natural world. So then second, our categories are going to develop through this ongoing process of comparing. It's supposed to say units. I apologize. There's an extra E in there. Not an extra, there is an E in there, of data with each other. So these categories are going to develop as we're continuing on, and we start comparing groups. How are they similar? How are they different? If they're different at all, or if they're similar at all. Okay. And it is often called the constant comparative method by constantly comparing your categories. We also talk about codes, categories, and category definitions, and we continue to work with them, and they are going to change dramatically. Not dramatically, dynamically. I'm so sorry. This means that they are not static. They don't stay the same. They're constantly changing while that researcher is still in the field. And that new data alters the score and the terms of our analytic framework. So with codes and categories, just knowing that they're constantly changing, they are dynamic, they don't stay the same, they're not static. We use open coding. So this is unrestricted coding, and really this is the first pass through. With coding data in qualitative research, you're going to be going through it multiple times. So you're gonna have to have kind of a starting point, and this is that starting point. So you're just going through and trying to make assessments, right? This sounds like this sounds like it fits here, these two are completely separate, whatever it is, right? You're just doing your first pass through. You have axial coding. So you're now linking categories in a meaningful way. It's not just, I've looked at it once. Now it's I've looked at it. I'm starting to make explicit sense and linking those categories together in ways that are meaningful to your research project. We talk about them, grounded theory being theoretic. Oh my goodness, so sorry. Theoretically saturated. So this is all the data that's going to be relevant to our research question can be coded into a category. Excuse me. And then the researchers then label the data from there, right? So all of the things that we want to know, all of the concepts and theories from our, I think I said concepts and theories, but I mean all the concepts, constructs from our theory can be put into one category, and then we label that data accordingly because it's relevant to the research. We have thematic analysis, and it's all about how participants conceptualize of actual communication episodes. So with thematic analysis, we focus on our themes. So we want to conceptualize that interaction, relationship, or an event. So with the thematic analysis, it's all about finding those themes and using the participants' words or actions as ways to make a theme out of what they're saying for our research study. So we get into this process of interpretation next. First, we're talking about memo writing, and this is going to encourage researchers to detail properties, right? Every category that we have, we're going to have certain categories for it or certain properties of that category, and we are going to need to detail those properties, right? And then we're going to suggest how each category, how each category or theme is going to fit with other categories or themes. We can use participant quotes. This is one of the best things for qualitative work is the quotes that researcher or that participants are giving you, right? We talk about credibility. So we use this specific criteria to assess effectiveness and accuracy of this research design and the findings drawn. So what that means is I can have somebody who is an expert in the field. I'm so sorry. Stop. 1 second. Come here. Come on. Come on. Told you he was being a menace today. So, credibility. So I can have a certain person who's in my study and they might be an expert within the field, which is great. That's what I want. They have credibility because they're an expert within the field. But oftentimes we're not getting experts because they don't have the time to be in our studies. So we might sample undergraduate college students, and then we have to think about the credibility that we're assessing them with. Okay. We talk about triangulation again, just like we did in quantitative. So we want to increase the credibility of our research. So first, data triangulation. So we offer a variety of qualitative methods used to produce different types of data. So we use multiple types of qualitative methods in order to get the data that we're looking for. We talk about presenting the data. So you want to have an authorial voice. Who's going to tell the story? With this being research, it shouldn't be a story like we're used to. It's not necessarily a narrator using first person, I, me, you, we, words like that. So you want to say the research suggests, the data suggests, you are the narrator. But you want to make sure that you're avoiding using words like I, we, you. Excuse me. Then we talk about the findings and interpretation. So first, we have a thematic or topical focus. So we want to focus on the themes that we found in the data, and we use that as a structure for writing the section of findings and interpretation. We might also use chronological data or chronological as a way to show our interpretation. And we talk about a development of processes step by step, and we highlight the timeline and the time frame of these events. So first this happened, then we saw this happen in almost every case or whatever it is. We talk about puzzle explication. So the puzzle is presented first, this big picture, and then the researcher is going to lead the reader to an explanation of what seemed puzzling before, right? So we give you the big picture, and then we come back and say, okay, here's points A, B, and C that got us to that big picture. This is what was puzzling, okay? And that is the end of week 6. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. Um, I'm always available via email, so, don't hesitate to reach out. Um, have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye.